Today we want to go straight into the issue of the letter that has been issued by the MDC Alliance to recall the three leaders who have supported the Supreme Court judgment. That is Douglas Mwonzora, Mudzuri and Komichi, and Elias Mudzuri. What is your comment on these recall letters?
My comment is simple, is that good luck to them. But before I make a legal case, let me make a moral case, especially to you guys, the journalists, and the country at large. You see, there is a saying that says the people deserve the leaders they have. We are sitting here having heard the Court make a ruling on the Dr. Kupe case versus the Speaker of Parliament. That case was about the illegal recalling of Dr. Kupe from Parliament by the same person, Chamisa, under the disguise that she was fired from the MDCT. That matter went to court. It was kicked out of court. Chamisa celebrated. He had no problem with that court finding. He did not even impugn the court. Nobody said anything. In fact, if anything, people celebrated that Dr. Kupe has lost a court case. Fast forward a few months down the line, Dr. Kupe wins that battle, that she's actually the legitimate leader of the MDCT. And I don't hear anyone speak of the machinery that was violently taken away from her, which Chamisa used to then run this election, not only run his election, but to make sure that he impedes, frustrate, even violently so, using even cyber warfare against Dr. Kupe's campaign. She wasn't even allowed to have a decent campaign, no resources, no machinery. Her movement was restricted, violently so in many cases. The country is silent about that. And you want to tell us that it is now unfair for someone who got 2 million to then stand down for someone who got 45,000. The 45,000 have a context and the 2 million have a context, because you can't all of a sudden ignore that the permanent secretary, Honorable Mapiza, writing to one of the DMTL members, he said the previous political finance which was given to the current was given to Alliance, previously it was given to the MDCT. So which means it went straight to Chamisa. So basically the point I'm making here is that there is no difference between what they want to now term an MDC Alliance party and what we've always known as MDCT. Those that are confused, they are confused because they want to be confused. And if someone is voluntary or is willfully ignorant or willfully confused, we can't help there. Let me make the legal case. Here is the legal case. If you go to that judgment of Dr. Kupe versus the Speaker of Parliament, that judgment was clear. It said the Speaker just has to satisfy himself whether the letter comes from a legal party. And once it does that, the rest really is left to our courts. And I can tell you now, given their stance, this intransigent approach, this whole point of making sure that they make so many conflicting arguments in the public domain because they always want to litigate their cases in the public domain, this matter will end up in court for them and with a bloody nose.
Okay, but they have gone to Parliament and they want to recall. They've done a specific action. Do you think Parliament is going to accept the argument that they are the legitimate MDC Alliance?
It will not, because remember, before they managed to recall Dr. Kupe last time, Dr. Kupe had written a letter and Parliament did not entertain it. So it cannot work now that the tables have turned and then Parliament entertains this letter. Now, I think I've made this point and let me make it again. The courts do not work on arguments. The courts work on evidence. And on evidence, they are seriously on thin ice. Everybody knows that. They want to claim that they created a new party. But as back as last year, the MDC Green, the youths were already agitating, saying he must disband that party if needs be. They claim that their inaugural Congress last year. So if their inaugural Congress last year, how did they receive money that was not due to them prior to their inaugural Congress, the political funding finance from government? So they are seriously on thin ice. They are in 6s and 7s. Why? Because they are dishonest people in nature. And unfortunately, they are finding a very gullible citizen that has different standards for a certain group of people and different standards for another a group of people. If we are saying we want to remove the ZANU government because of how it has treated the people of Zimbabwe, is it okay for a government that claims to be a social democratic party to do in the manner these guys are doing? They're so dishonest. And why are you giving them a free pass? You need to ask them those tough questions, because if you don't do that, they will become a government and they will carry on with the same practice.
Okay, let me ask you a direct question.
Yes.
I've been informed that your party or your faction of the party has also written letters to recall members of the MDC alliance. Is that correct?
Well, if they have not done so, because you'll need to get hold of Advocate Kutu to speak on behalf of the party. Remember, I speak only on behalf of the President, Dr. Cook. But if they have not done so, I'll be surprised, because they'll be extremely slow. They really need to recall those people for claiming that they now belong to another party, because that claim on its own, they've summarily dismissed themselves.
Okay,
there
are a number of people.
I'll be surprised if they have not done so. Honestly speaking, I'll be very much surprised, because it's sending a signal. You see, if you show weakness in this battle that is so unfair, that is so skewed to one direction. I mean, you, the media, you are all an extension of the MTC malicious propaganda machinery. So we can't afford to act or to willy-nilly around a decision like this. We really have to act decisive and show strength.
Okay.
These are my views. These are my views. So I'll be very much surprised if they haven't done that.
So out of the 111 MPs of MDC, 109 have signed letters of support for Nelson Chamisa. Are you going to recall all of them?
Well, that's what he wants you to believe. You forget one thing, that most of these MPs are my friends. That's what he wants you to believe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they want you to believe. No, you will get the shock of your life. Yeah, just get ready, get your popcorns. Yeah, be prepared.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why do you think so many people are afraid to come out in public in support of Dr. Kupe?
They don't have to support Dr. Kupe, by the way, because this Becky was not about Dr. Kupe versus Soren. So it was about constitutionalism. It was at the core, really, of the values and the foundations of our party. And a lot of people are scared, because you saw what happened to Dr. Kupe and Dr. Mwonzora. The nature of the beast is that it unleashes that paramilitary group of theirs that goes by the name of vanguards. You saw last week with a video that was going around of young men running all over Harare saying they're looking for Dr. Mwonzora to beat him up. So that's the nature. Now, if you're an ordinary MP or ordinary council, you know what they are going to do to you. So you don't play, as it were, to the gallery. You just do your things procedural.
Okay. So if I may ask,
let me add this as well. Those affidavits mean nothing, by the way, as far as recalls are concerned. They can keep those affidavits. I don't know what value they think they can derive for them, but we know that those affidavits are made under duress. Not only the affidavits, including the videos that some of those honorable members of parliament are doing. Those things are done under duress. And what we want to do, and we're going to do this, we want to dismantle that terrorist machinery that has been built in the last 3 to 5 years, really.
Okay. Nelson Chamisa himself has never said anything about this case in public. What do you think is happening?
I couldn't care, really. I don't have time to psychologize anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you believe that?
I don't have to analyze him. I'm not even sure if it's necessary for him to say anything in public. I mean, remember, he's an advocate of the High Court. As an advocate of the High Court, he definitely understands that judgments. These people that are talking, you know, some of them are talking out of sheer desperation, and I'm talking of PT, I'm talking of Professor Ncube. Those are very, very desperate men because they can see that power is slipping off their fingers.
Okay, but Dr. Tapiwa Shumba, the technical advisor of Nelson Chamisa, specifically said the MDC Alliance MPs were not part of the MDCT because when you go to ZEC, you don't register a coalition. Do you think you will succeed in recalling because your side is MDCT? Will you be able to recall without the MDC Alliance?
You are missing a point, and I think you are doing it deliberate. And when I'm saying you, I don't mean you as Kabangwe Media. I mean the whole the media and the whole supporters of the alliance. You use MDCT, the one that ran under that ran for the 2018 elections under Dr. Kobe, and MDCT, the one that the judgment referred to. You are using these MDCTs interchangeable. They are not the same. I told you, is it early this week or late last week, when I told you that as back as last month, we were in court. We were in court with this leadership of the alliance, claiming that they are the legitimate leaders of MDCT, the one that was left by Dr. Tsvangirai. So don't use those things interchangeable. Now, when I'm talking of MDCT, as I'm speaking here, I'm not talking of the MDCT that ran for the 2018 elections under Dr. Kope. No, I'm talking about the MDCT that the whole country knows, the one that was led by Dr. Tsvangirai. That's the one that is in an alliance agreement with what now they want to call MTC Alliance Party. That's the thing we're talking about here. And the memorandum of understanding is clear, that agreement which was written. It makes it clear that we have MPs that we have filtered there. And the whole reason why we couldn't run as individual parties is because we're going to lose out on PR and senators. So we needed to run under one umbrella. But it is known that this senator, this MP, falls under MDCT, and MDCT reserves the right to recall them as and when they have to. PTP has its MPs. That's why we can't recall PT. That's why that letter was fake, that had PT there. We're clear we can't recall him. It's only PTP that can recall him. But the MPs that went there under our ticket, you would have seen the newspaper of last year, I think it's Newsday, when PDP sat down and agreed on members of parliament, which they forwarded to the alliance. So the whole issue, they may want you to be confused in the public sphere. I think that's what Dr. Tapiwa is doing. He's getting you guys confused in the public sphere. It's fine. This thing will end up in court, and we know who's going to come second best there. These legal issues don't need emotions, by the way. They just need common sense. And what I have since proved is that since I've started doing these interviews with you, I've since proved you that with our friends, common sense is not so common.
Okay. So according to what you're saying,
yeah,
the MDCT of Morgan Tsvangirai is the majority party in the MDC Alliance.
Yes.
And the president of the MDC Alliance is the president of the MDCT of Morgan Tsvangirai, according to the agreement.
Well, let me leave that to Honorable Mwonzora. I think he can articulate those things better. I'm not so much really worried about the alliance if you consider how hostile these guys have since become, because they seem to be more interested in our party more than the well-being of the alliance, for them to keep their bargain and allow us to deal with our internal issues. So if you really wanted to go to those pedantic details, you will have to deal with Honorable Mwonzora. I can arrange that for you, or Honorable Kutu. I can arrange that for you. But if you are asking me, I am telling you that those letters that were written about Honorable Mwonzora, Honorable Mudzuri, Honorable Komichi, they are not worth the paper they are written on. It will not happen. Simple.
But what is the position of Dr. Thokozani Kupe? Is she the president of the MDC Alliance? Because she's the president of the MDCT, and the president of the MDCT, according to the agreement, is also the president of the MDC Alliance.
My friend, it takes two to tango, right? If the other partners in the alliance have pronounced themselves, we're not going to force ourselves on anyone. The issue, don't even confuse issues. I don't even want the public to be confused. We're not here on the MDC Alliance. We're not fighting over the MDC Alliance. We couldn't be bothered at all. We are dealing with the issues of MDCT. That's what we're dealing with.
But can you dissolve that alliance? Because you are the ones with the court judgment. Can you dissolve the alliance right now?
Well, that matter is not a reason, and that's why I keep on saying to you, when you're asking issues that have to do with corporate decisions, you will have to bring in Honorable Kutu, because he's the party spokesperson, or you'll have to bring the SG. But if you're asking me questions that have to do with Dr. Kupe, I'm here to assist you.
Yes, that's what I'm asking. Is Dr. Kupe, what's her position on the alliance? I'm asking specifically on Dr. Kupe.
I've said to you, Dr. Kupe could not be bothered at this stage based on the hostility or the comments, the hostile comments that have been made by the partners in the alliance. So that's not what she's preoccupied with right now. Right now, she's preoccupied with making sure that the judgment is carried out in its entirety. That's what she's concerned with. She's more concerned with her party that she's leading for the following 3 months, taking it to a successful extraordinary Congress so that we elect a substantive leader to succeed our late president.
Okay. I think let's summarize this.
Okay.
The letters that were written by MDC Alliance recalling the 3 leaders who supported the Supreme Court judgment, you said it's not worth the paper that it's written on.
Yeah, it's a nullity.
Okay.
And
then secondly,
legal terms, it's a nullity.
Yes. Then secondly, you are saying Dr. Kupe is not concerned with leading the MDC Alliance. That's not a focus right now.
I gave a context. Given the hostility or the hostile comments we have had, she doesn't even want to respond to them.
Okay. Then third, we said the MDCT, which is led by Dr. Kupe, which is the MDCT of Morgan Tsvangirai, is going to recall members that have pronounced themselves that they are no longer members of the MDCT.
No, I gave you my personal feeling because I said to you those are issues that the SG would know better or the party spokesperson. But I said as a member and as a national executive member, I would be very much concerned if they have not done so. Because you have people that have stood in public platforms and say they now belong to a new party. That is what they claim. They're saying they have a party, which party went to Congress last year, and which now they want to pass as the inaugural Congress, despite the fact that they said they're celebrating 20 years and it's their 5th Congress. But leave that for another day. They've claimed that they belong to a new party, and our constitution is clear. If you belong to a new party, you have dismissed yourself. So I'll be surprised if they have not yet written letters, especially for those whom we have deployed. You see, especially for those whom we have deployed in the form of senators and PRs. We've deployed those as a party. We should be able to quickly recall those ones.
Okay, so we'll know this week when Parliament opens, because at the moment the Parliament is closed because of the holiday. Maybe we can check what they've done in terms of recalling, because I think it's very important for people to have clarity on that issue.
You will recall I told you before this case was decided, you asked me what would be the outcome. I said if the law is consistent, and I gave you the outcome, and it came out to be true. And I'm telling you, if the law is consistent, if you go on how Dr. Kupe was recalled from Parliament, if the speaker is consistent and it doesn't change, those letters are useless that those guys wrote. They are very, very useless.
So in fact, the letters that were written by Wende, if there are 2 letters one recalling Wende and one recalling other people by Wende, the ones recalling Wende will be successful. That's the opinion.
If it's coming from MTCT, Pel, if it's coming from MTCT, yes, the ones that are calling MTCT deployees in parliament will be successful. I also saw something on the socials. I don't know if you saw it, that Honorable Maitivenge is also recalling, so she's going to do something with her PDP and the people that they deployed in parliament. Yeah, that's why I said, get your popcorns, my brother. It's going to be exciting because we do have an agreement, and agreements are not supposed to be broken. There are implications for breaking legal agreements. Those are binding agreements.
Yes, I think this is very interesting. If that happens, it will be a very interesting kind of thing, because I believe that Tendai Biti had left PDP by the time he went into the elections.
Well, look, let me not get tangled into that. I think I've already told you that I'm not interested in other people really, but I was just throwing it in there just to let you know that it's not as simple as they are dreaming, that they're just going to recall people willy-nilly. They're not going to be successful. You can't say you're going to recall Honorable Mwonzora, Honorable Komichi and Mudzuri simple because they're in agreement with the court process outcome. You can't do that. So we will see. We will see. It will really be strange. It will create a constitutional crisis. Let me expound on my legal understanding here. If the speaker was to do that, it will create a constitutional crisis, and we can't afford that.
I sort of agree with what you're saying, because then there will be no consistency between the Supreme Court ruling and what is happening in Parliament. I also agree with you that agreeing with the Supreme Court judgment is not, it's not something bad, right?
Yeah, because look, I want to, still on the courts issue, I've taken you to the Concord judgment, which Chamisa and this group celebrated. They celebrated that. The courts can't be wrong all the time when they rule against you and be right when they rule in your favor. I mean, what type of logic is that?
Okay, I'm however feeling like I didn't get a proper answer on the dissolution of the alliance. If the alliance is not working for all the parties, I would think that is where you would go first, into dissolving the alliance.
Well, okay, let me help you. The whole point why I'm restricting myself when it comes to the alliance, it's because it was not a Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai and the other guys. It was a National Council decision, and that National Council, we held it at Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai's house. So I was there, and I also did put my input and whatever. So basically, if you want to talk of dissolution of something which was put together by the National Council, it has to go through the National Council. So it is unfair to then expect Dr. Kupe to insert her personal feelings into a corporate issue.
But people are saying that Dr. Kupe won't be able to call the National Council.
But we traversed that, we did canvass that issue, my brother, in our last interview. It was this week. We traversed that issue. We don't have sleepless nights over that, by the way. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I think we've covered most of the important issues.
Yeah.
Do you believe that MDC-T or MDC Alliance is going to win the elections in 2023?
I think we have enough time to put our house in order. Basically, we have 3 years. We have 3 years to put our house in order. And I think we will. I think we will put our house in order. And given the suffering and what our country is going through, we stand a good chance. It's unfortunate that we will win because of our opponent. But I would have preferred a situation where we win in spite of our opponent. But we still have time. We can do something about it. There's enough time.
Okay. Right, yeah. Mr. Khaliphani Phugeni, this has been a very interesting discussion. Although it makes me sad to see that the fight is now between the two parties instead of against ZANU-PF. Is there anything that you want to say before we close?
Yeah, I would like to appeal to Zimbabweans. COVID-19, I'm talking COVID-19 now. I'm looking at what is happening in other developed countries. And I pray to God that it does not befall Zimbabwe. We don't have capacity. And at the same time, we don't have capacity to deal with this virus. And at the same time, we don't have capacity to keep our country closed like other countries, like forever. So I'm really appealing to Zimbabweans for unity right now. If there's anything that should bring us together as a people, it is this COVID-19. This thing will kill us. It knows no ZANU, it knows no MTCA, it knows no MTCT, it knows no ethnicity, it knows no class, it kills. We need to unite now against this invisible enemy. We can do politics later, but for now, we all need to unite. I'm challenging the business community to bring their resources. I'm challenging the religious leadership to bring in their distinct leadership qualities. I'm challenging everyone, all hands on deck. Let us fight this virus together. United, we shall prevail. Divided, we will be wiped out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khaliphani Phugeni, spokesman for Dr. Thokozani Kupe, president of the MDCT. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.